Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are with new live. Mr. Khatri is with yet again ready to play another uh, chess series, we must say, and he is ready to rock and roll again. Let's begin. I hope I am audible to you, Khatri, Mr. Khatri. Let's begin the play. Let's start it. Let's have some fun. Let's rock and roll. Let's start. Here we have some simple position in the starting of the game. Bishop tended to pin the knight over there, but immediately attacked by the pawn on a5. Knights come out, immediate castle by the white Mr. Khatri. We have a Brazilian player in the black side. Khatri is having some confusion whether he should develop or move his existing pieces in center of the board. Khatri pushes his pawn on d5, protecting and creating a pawn chain on the e5. The bishop pins. There goes the pawn to attack the bishop. Queen comes out and bishop is yet again attacked by the pawn. Bishop gets the safety. Here are some chances of pawns being doubled. Yes, it would be pawn doubles. The black is taking some time. No, there wasn't chance. There was a chance of pawn being doubled, but no, there was a fork coming right away, and the player missed it. Sadly, sad for Mr. Black. With 1000 elo, we don't expect that so much, but yes, that's the reality in this position. Black missed the amazing fork where he could have tactically win the queen, but he missed it, and the knight attacked the rook on a5, but the rook can immediately withdraw from that attack. Knight get back to the d4. Bishop attacks the knight, but the knight is well protected by the pawn. Yet the knight moves to f5. Khatri seems a little confused. The position of queen. Exchange offered. No exchange. Yes, exchange done by Mr. Khatri. Yet Black hadn't expected that exchange, I believe. But yeah, that's the reality. The position seems pretty equal for both of the teams, equal center for both the parties, but the rooks and the rook of white is an open file, which can be a little advantageous. Knight attacks the rook, perhaps. Yes, it does. The bishop gives a quick check to the king. Bishop takes the knight, and immediately the Mr. Black gets 3-point advantage here. Khatri missed that square, you must say. Khatri is trying to push the pawn on b5. Bishop get back central squares. The bishop leading on the leading diagonal is pretty disastrous there. The game seems to have little leaning advantage to the black side. Let's see what happens. Khatri is lacking behind more than 10 seconds in terms of time. Mr. Black has some passer pawns, but Khatri doesn't have any of them. Black playing pretty solid, bringing the king to the central squares of the board, trying to capture the center and well control the game, I believe. The endgame seems pretty complex, yet yes, the Khatri was immediately trying to take the pawn, but later realized that the rook on f-file can be a real danger, so he treat that pawn. There's a kind of invasion from the black side continuously into the king side of the white. White has limited moves here. Any mistakes can be real danger to white. Black is leading by 4 points in terms of evaluation chart. I think Mr. Khatri will soon resign. Yes, he does resign this game. Let's begin another one with a new start. The Brazilian player asked for a rematch, but Khatri rejected it. Let's see what happens in the game. Khatri never misses with black pieces. Let's see what happens to this game. Bishop immediately comes out for a check. Bishop taken. Knight goes away from Mr. Black. Black is leading little advantages in terms of development, positional development, but the game is fairly equal for both of the team, both player. Khatri is yet to castle. Maybe he will take out his bishop or so. Bishop trying to move his light square bishop. Will he or will he not move his bishop? No, he's lurking around with his queen. Maybe he wants to put queen to the center, creating more tensions on the board. Now Mr. Khatri's bishop has been attacked by the pawn. Khatri takes the knight on f3. Knight takes knight, and pawn doesn't take the knight. There's a quick queen exchange from both of the side. Castle by Mr. Khatri, and we enter to the mid game. Knight moving as an invasive species to the black side. Must say the bishop on g5 is pretty disastrous for Mr. Black. Must kick that out, I believe. Mr. Khatri thinks a little different and moves his bishop. I think there will be bishop knights exchange there. The fork on f2, on the other hand, is really powerful, having capacity to take the rook and also creating some threats with the bishop. Oh my god, that's an amazing fork. Now Khatri is immediately winning this game. Wow, white missed that crazy opportunity. The bishop on g5 was really danger, but the white couldn't capitalize it. But Mr. Khatri again missed that position, lost that advantage. Mr. Khatri having some carelessness here, I believe, perhaps. Khatri gets white pieces, begins with e4, e5 in response by Mr. Black. It is the Italian that we see on the board. No, it is not Italian, perhaps, pardon me. Mr. Khatri pushed his d pawn, asking for some sort of exchange, pawn exchange. Maybe he wants to control more squares of the center, but I don't think black will take that pawn on d4. The game is moving a little slower. Another offer of pawn exchange by Mr. Black. Khatri, on the other hand, sacrificed his bishop to win in terms of castling rights. Mr. Black lost his castling rights when Khatri sacrificed his bishop, perhaps. Bishop comes out for Mr. Black. The light color bishop comes out. There was a quick take from Mr. Bishop. Oh, that was a discovered take. I must say the castling and the take was simultaneously. The knight on d7 is really pinned there. Pardon me, gentlemen. After a quick break, I'm back. Let's begin with another new game. Mr. Khatri gets the black pieces, and we know Khatri never misses with black pieces. Both of the knights, Mr. White comes out, the bishop moves twice in the early position. No, sorry, not twice. Bishop gets attacked. Bishop goes there for doubling the pawn. Khatri is in some chaotic move to remove all the moves. The bishops are ready for an exchange. The pawn is ready to break the pawn chain there. Yes, it breaks the pawn chain there. I think knight exchange is pretty good for white, I must say, because it uh, breaks the double pawn situation. It's a complex situation for Mr. Black whether to exchange or not, but pushes the pawn. The pawn will again be pushed, I believe, in the e file. No, it won't be pushed. The bishop comes out to c4 and the bishop is immediately kicked by Mr. Khatri, I believe. No, it is not the case this time. Pardon me. Khatri is lagging behind a minute, half of a minute in terms of time, but Khatri may be having some solid plans and preparation for this position. White player is trying to break the pawn chain. The knight comes out attacking the bishop on c4. The bishop doesn't have any good square to move, but the square of d3 seems pretty good for Mr. White, as that controls the h7 square, but no, bishop goes to b3, creating more tension on d5. The pawn on d5 is now pinned off officially. The pawn tries for an exchange. The king moves away to the b2 square. The bishop is now kicked away. I think the bishop should have moved in the proper squares earlier. Now the bishop has been a little locked kind of situation, but the c2 is always open for the bishop. Yet the pawn is now pinned and cannot take the bishop there, I believe. There's a chance of check from Mr. Khatri, but I don't think Khatri is down for a check. Khatri is moving and wandering around his pieces, and Khatri gives a counter attack to Mr. White. What the Mr. White has to do with this move, I don't know. It's up to him. Mr. White gives response of immediate refrain from that position. The quick check from Mr. Khatri. No, he doesn't give the check. Again, continues the attack to the queen. The queen again have to move. There are no other defense mechanism here. The queen has to move. Yes, it does move. What does Khatri has to say about this move? I don't think Khatri is going for yet another attack. Khatri can have some positional gameplay here, but I don't know what Khatri is doing. Khatri is literally 1 minute behind the white piece. The bishop takes the pawn. The pawn was really crucial there. The rook takes the knight. Rooks coming out, not connected rooks. That may be little disastrous for Mr. White. Can Khatri capitalize in this position? The rook retreats and get back to its original position. Khatri says offers an exchange. White accepts it, and there was an excellent exchange of rooks. The kings meanwhile seem fairly equally strong here for both of the parties. The pawn on e7 is barely protected by the queen there. Attacked by the queen, protected by the queen. The pawn must have some crazy fate there. No chances of checking. Maybe he will offer an exchange of queen. No, he won't. And indeed, oh my god, even I didn't spot that. Mr. Khatri, even he didn't spot it that, and that was a shameful loss. Yes, Mr. Khatri, you are ashamed. I am ashamed too. Let's begin with a new starting. Let's capitalize into this game. Let's not bring that game into this game. That's double pawn on c5 for Mr. Black. Khatri immediately castles. After that, maybe Mr. Black is trying to create some crazy pawn chains here, not bringing his any other pieces. Yes, yet another pawn move. I don't know what Mr. Black is trying to do here. Khatri should develop more pieces into the game, while Mr. Black is trying to create an amazing pawn chain here. Perhaps this game has a crazy name. Even I cannot spell all of it. Ruy Lopez opening Murphy defense exchange Lutico variation. I don't know what that means, but yes, it is there. Khatri wants to give the check, but Khatri retreats. Yes, gives the check. The pawn attacks the queen. The queen must move. Queen moves to protect the knight. Maybe perhaps Khatri is planning to attack the queen, making his own queen vulnerable right there on g4. Maybe we can see some pawn push on h6. Yes, we did see that. Now Khatri is making his own queen vulnerable, attacking the other queen here. Yes, he does that. Let's see if he can capitalize with this tactic. Oh no, that was a big loss for Mr. Khatri. He lagged behind 2 points now. But Khatri gets a fork, attacking 2 pieces at the same time. Perhaps, but bishop coming to f3, immediately it can, f5, immediately it can abstain from that position. But again, the pawn on c6 is vulnerable, and I think it is inevitable. Yes, the pawn is undefended on c6, and I think Khatri will take it, as it would be followed by a check. And if the queen comes to the d7 square, the rook on a8 would be unprotected, making it a good capitalization for Mr. Khatri. But in 1000 elo, we won't see such cheap position moves, I believe. The bishop attacks the queen that was staying peacefully on c6 square. Khatri wants to give check. He does give check. Knight comes out protecting their king. The knight is now pinned, and other knight attacks it. Now the pin has been removed, but the king of Mr. Black is really vulnerable in that position. A really complicated position to evaluate. I believe the knight is unprotected here. Perhaps the queen will take the knight, but the rooks remain unprotected there, so taking the knight isn't an ideal decision for Mr. Black. Let's see what he does here, if he can spot the mistake. Oh, he takes the knight, misses that the rook was unprotected, and now the rook is lost. The bishop comes to b5, attacking the rook, but rook can move to any square. I think Mr. Khatri is delaying here. Oh my god, I missed that. It is again same fool, same fool, same fool. Yet another mistake from Mr. Khatri. Repetitive chain of mistakes. I don't think Mr. Khatri is in a good shape today to play chess. Now he is giving away his pieces for free. I don't know what he is trying to do. Oh, I now see that if the queen takes the rook, the bishop gives the check and the rook takes the king. But I don't think Mr. Black is falling for such easy traps here. However, Mr. Black is running behind in terms of time. But yes, Mr. Black fell for that, and Khatri redeemed his queen, the queen. I don't think exchange is pretty ideal in this situation because passer pawns can be danger for Mr. Khatri. Yes, the exchange was not pretty good decision by Mr. Khatri. Here clearly Mr. Black is winning, but let's see what sort of tactics that does Khatri bring here to get the game going, to get the game perhaps winning as well. Khatri barely has one passing pawns, but Mr. Black has two additional pieces, which is a real advantage to Mr. Black. And again, Khatri is lacking behind in terms of time. He is not capitalizing his time properly. Knight takes the pawn on b file. Now Khatri doesn't have any passer pawns to be clear. Khatri is now resigning. That is really sad and shameful. That was pretty cheap queen blunder from Mr. Khatri. Let's begin with a new game. New starting. Khatri gets black pieces, and again, it might be a really irritative, but I want to repeat the sentence, the idiom that Khatri never misses with black pieces. It's a simple queen pawn opening, checkerboard, Sigouin variation. I don't know if that is the correct pronunciation or not, but who cares really? Bishop get fiancéed there. The position seems fairly equal in the beginning of this game. However, Khatri lacks in terms of a little positional development perhaps. Khatri opens up space for his plus squared bishop. The bishop comes out, pinning the knight. Immediately the dark squared bishop breaks the pin. Khatri is planning to move his knight to the central position of the board. Knight attacks the knight. The chances of doubling the pawn. Khatri left. Oh no, I don't think if that was an ideal move from Mr. White. Here we can see that Khatri and Mr. White both has equal stocks in central square, but the position of Mr. White seems more simplified, and the pawn chain from f2, e3 and d4, the strong pawn chain that is so impactful in this game. I believe the knight can move anywhere here, but White chooses to go to g4. Khatri has some insane maneuver of his knight from the queen side of the board to the king side. The insane maneuver there. Yet the knight of Mr. White doesn't have less road to cover from there. Getting back to central square for Mr. White. It's far cry now. Some crazy tactics from Mr. White going on here. Push the pawn to break the pawn structure on e6, but I don't think so. That was pretty impactful in this position. Bishop takes the pawn. No, the queen attacks the rook. No, it doesn't. The bishop takes the pawn. The knight comes out, protecting the pawn. Castling is still far cry for both of the team. Khatri has rights to castle only to the queen side of the board. Let's see if Khatri is interested in castling or not. Again, in this game, I must highlight that Khatri is lagging behind in terms of time, and again in every match he is. Khatri is trying to create some threats to the king using his rook, using his queen, and also the knight perhaps. Maybe he will get his bishop into the action sometime. The pawn will be pushed, breaking the pawn chain, I believe. Khatri is capitalizing every one of his major pieces, whereas Mr. White hasn't moved his queen yet. I don't know what he's trying to do. Now he listens to me and actually moved his queen. The queen immediately becomes powerful there. Quick rook exchange from Mr. White and Mr. Black. That can be a fork, but no, White is a good player. He doesn't miss such position. The pawn on f2 is, however, unprotected. I think Khatri will capitalize on it. Yes, he does. But the queen takes the pawn and the knight is undefended there. The knight is tending to move the central squares of the board, I believe. Yes, it does move to the center square of the board. White queen, on the other hand, has not been pretty impactful in this game. But Mr. Khatri missed that and lost that rook. I don't know how Mr. Khatri is losing such position, having good advantage in the beginning and immediately losing his concentration in the game and losing his game after all of the hardships. I think Khatri will take the pawn. Khatri had a good advantage in this game, but later he missed. Now there would be queen exchange. Yes, we see a queen exchange, and the rook and the bishop ending usually ends with the party having a rook. But let's see what happens in this game. I think same story will be repeated in this match too. But let's see what the players has to say about each other's move and responses. The king must be moved to central square of the game in the end game to capitalize upon every pieces. Khatri is marching ahead to make his pawn a good old queen here. Brand new queen perhaps. The white rook is giving a side eye to the bishop. The rook is now attacked by the king. There's a chance of check. Yes, the check given, and Khatri will now make the queen. Yes, he does. Oh my god, it's the double queen. A rare sight in this match. The blitz game has come to an amazing, amazing position for Mr. Khatri, and the opponent resigns here. Sadly, Khatri gets the black pieces, and now I don't want to repeat the sentence again and again. You understand what I meant. Khatri is ready to rock and roll with his bishop here. Khatri is preparing squares for his bishop on h7, I believe, but other pieces also has to be developed, Mr. Khatri. Consider developing other pieces as well. I don't know if repeated moving of same piece in the beginning is really beneficial or not. Khatri is working around his queen here. Khatri has good time advantage in this game, more than 20 seconds time advantage so far. The game began with Caro-Kann defense followed by advanced variation. The tension on h6 file, h6 square has been a real one. The pawn is pushed to f5 and we can see some en passant and the knight can move to f6. That would be a great sight to witness, but I don't think that's a practical position here. White is taking quite a bit time here. He has almost taken 1 minute for this single move. I don't know if he is cooking something really tasty. Khatri ready to push his pawn to f5. Player gives en passant. Knight jumps to the g5 square. I don't know what sort of tactic does he have. The king can obviously take there. Oh, attacks the queen, but the knight is now pinned. Well, the bishop comes and protects the pinned knight. The knight is now can be taken undefended. And the knight is undefended. I don't know why Mr. Khatri is not taking that. Oh yeah, but the knight can be pushed and the pin on knight can be removed anytime. Oh, I didn't notice that, but that's fairly easy. And the fourth, taking the rook with the queen. I don't think if that is ideal. Oh yes, it does take with the queen. And there Khatri takes the rook and exchange offer. I believe no, the exchange. No, white misses that. Exchange was successfully conducted. Mr. Khatri was having leading advantage there, and Mr. White immediately resigns the game, beginning with a newer game. E4 to begin with. D5 in response. Queen comes out early. Knight attack the queen, and pretty original form of the chess by Mr. Black. White leading in terms of positional development here. Yes, the black hasn't have moved any pieces so far. The pawn immediately pushed by Mr. Khatri to attack the knight. The knight gets chopped off by Mr. Khatri there, I believe. Yes, the knight is now chopped off by Mr. Khatri. Perhaps White didn't notice it. Wow, that was really nice spot by Mr. Khatri. Yet he is not taking the I don't know what tactic does Mr. Khatri is playing with. Okay, the bishop is protecting the knight. I didn't spot it that in the early position of the game. The queen lurking around the king can be a real threat to Mr. Black. We can see some amazing fork or amazing pin taking the queen there. The game began with Scandinavian defense and Mrs. variation. Chances of some fork there, perhaps, but I don't know. Mr. Black is if Mr. Black would easily slip away. The knight is attacked there. Maybe Khatri has some protection plan. He moved his knight to safety, also counter-attacking the queen. Yet another counter-attack, but the knight on c4 is undefended. Khatri must go with some creative moves here. Maybe the pawn comes up for the protection. Khatri is taking a lot of time in this phase of this game. The rook is left undefended there. Maybe the knight will take the rook. The rook takes the knight. Perhaps. The game is having a little slow process here. The queen gets back to I don't know if there are some chances of pinning of the queen against the king, but the knight on c2 is real threat for Mr. White here. Okay, the rook is now gone for real. Black is seriously lacking in terms of development here. Khatri must take the rook, I believe. Okay, that is a creative side of the story. Khatri is trying to capitalize with all of his pieces in this game. Meanwhile, Mr. Black hasn't developed his bishop, hasn't developed his knight. I don't know what he's trying to do. He hasn't even castled yet. So Mr. Black is seriously lacking in terms of development, but in terms of pieces and points, he is leading by 5 points, and which Khatri can immediately overcome by taking the rook perhaps, and also the knight on a1 is undefended. Maybe Khatri can spot that or not, I don't know. The knight on a1 is undefended, but Khatri doesn't seem interested in taking that. Bishop on c5 on the other hand is what Khatri thinks is the good move, but I don't think that's an ideal move to be in. Maybe Khatri has some good tactics with this move. Perhaps he is trying to experiment with his moves, and I encourage experimenting, ladies and gentlemen. But no, Khatri goes with a typical move for this time. The king abstained from that pinning position there. Khatri takes the b7 square there, attacking the knight, attacking two pawns. Yes, he can now take the pawn, keep the pin alive for Mr. Black. Maybe Khatri will go for an exchange here. Yes, he will. Crazy exchanges going on in position. But here, more or less, Mr. Khatri's king is more uh, in good position there. So I think Mr. Khatri have some leading advantage here, but only disadvantage for Mr. Khatri is in terms of time. He is seriously behind, more than 1 minute, 1.5 minute behind in time. I don't know how will Khatri reconcile in this position. Khatri must overcome his time disadvantage in this position. The rook attacks the pawn on b5. The pawn are marching continuously ahead. The rook attacked the pawn on f5, but doesn't matter to Mr. Khatri. Now I think, yes, it is a clear sign for Mr. Khatri to push his pawns uh, continuously march towards the glory. Yes, he marches towards the glory. Mr. Khatri is ready to queen and take the rook on a5. Yes, he will take the rook on a5, I believe. Yes, he does, and it is clearly winning for Mr. Khatri. Oh, black missed that he could have taken the white pawn there. Black missed that in the chaotic position of the game. The Khatri must consider his timing. He's taking a lot of time for every move. Oh, maybe he is now aware of the time, pre-booking every move, I believe. But pre-booking every move isn't an ideal decision to make to win a blitz game until you are Hikaru. Unless you are Hikaru. Okay, now white is taking a bit of time. Khatri is ready to castle, develop his knight, first castling, then developing. No, first developing the knight, then castling perhaps. Khatri is calculating a lot in this position, but he castled. White piece is invading into the pawn chain, but the pawn structure, the fortress, remained untouched. The tension on e4 square, on the other hand, is rising a lot. Khatri has good central control here, but also white pieces are well positioned. The bishops are really disastrous for Mr. Khatri. However, Mr. White is lagging behind. He haven't castled. The rooks are ready to be exchanged here. The knight gets the cow position, as the folks say. Nimzowitsch something attack. Sorry, I cannot see that clearly. There was the pawn exchange. The pawn on a3 has become a real weakness for Mr. White. But also the pawn on e4 has good tension on it. The bishop is having an eye into it. The knight, both of the knights, both of the bishop are looking into it. That's the real tension, and tension finally breaks. There's a quick exchange of two pieces there. The knight on center is ruling over the board, I must say. That's the quick exchange of the pieces. Khatri here is leading with 2 points. The bishop on d6 can be a danger. Maybe exchanging is an ideal move here, but no, Khatri thinks a little differently. Attacks the queen. The pawn on a3 is undefended. Maybe the queen will move to defend the pawn there. Khatri is anticipating some sort of fork here, but I don't think a fork would be seen here in such level game. White seems pretty decent player. I believe Khatri and the white player has switched their position in terms of taking time. Khatri is taking no time to move his pieces. On the other hand, Mr. White is taking heck lot of time. Maybe Khatri can cook some fork here, but yes, he does cook the fork and ate it alive. That was a useful move by Mr. Khatri to move his pawn, and the opponent resigns the game. That was a GG by Mr. Khatri. Yet with another new game, we begin the game with an typical e4. Mr. Khatri, press F please. The chess.com has added a new feature that when you press F, it gives an amazing animation, giving some nostalgic vibes. Mr. Khatri, can you please press F? Thank you. That was some nostalgia. Okay, now leave it. Play your game, Mr. Khatri. Khatri plus d4, trying to invade into the pawn chain. Perhaps that's not what the black player has to say. No, that's the black player. What black player has to say. I am stammering there, but I don't care. Khatri is marching ahead, attacking the queen. No, he retreated back. The knight tried to attack the pawn, but no, the pawn went forward, attacking the knight itself. The chance of the fork, but I don't think fork would be seen here. Yes, black player immediately spots the chance of fork, but will there be discovery attack? No, there won't be, but the pin on bishop starts there, and knight immediately jumps forward in defense of Mr. Bishop. Will the knight continue to protect? No, the hopeless Mr. Black resigns the game, and Khatri marches towards the 1500 elo. e4 to begin with. Sicilian defense in response, followed by c3, e6. Pretty boring start to this game, I must say. Both of the players are trying to create solid pawn chain in the beginning. We may witness a passant there. No, we didn't, and Khatri being some clever sit, he pre-booked that and he lost his knight. That wasn't an ideal case to be in, Mr. Khatri. But Khatri had chance to get the bishop, but no, he doesn't get it. Oh no. The pin was immediately broken by bishop taping forward to protect the knight there. Castling by Mr. White. Khatri seems to have clear little disadvantage here. The pawn on e6 is undefended, and Mr. White capitalizes in it, gaining an open file there. It can be a real disaster for Mr. Black, but Black tries to redeem their open file. Rook staving forward, invading into the space of Mr. Black. What will Mr. Black do here? Black doesn't have proper backup, proper planning here. The king is exposed, the pawn on f6 was unprotected, which was a real disadvantage for Mr. Khatri, and Mr. Khatri tries to create some counterplay there, but misses that. The knight would take that, and again knighting. The knight are knighting. Khatri is lacking behind with 8 points. I don't think any other better moves is here other than resigning. I don't think if Khatri considers some other good moves. Okay, Khatri is still trying to create some counterplay here. Perhaps not an, but there are some chances of back rank mate. However, if the rook can on e-file can do something, but I think Mr. Khatri will spot it right away. Sorry, Mr. White will spot it right away, I believe. Let's see what White has to do in response. Yes, he does give the check. Perhaps not an ideal check because the omniosity wanders around the pieces on e5. The lurking trait of checkmate, the back rank checkmate, is again prevailing there. Maybe Khatri isn't just. Oh my god, it is in back rank checkmate indeed. Khatri wins this with an amazing mating idea. The white pieces missed it. Unfortunate for them. Khatri marching gloriously into the 1500 elo. Begin with e4, response e5, knight comes to f3, fianchetto bishop. The pretty boring beginning. The knight is pinned to the queen. Khatri is trying to kick out the bishop here. The pawn on e-file is under attack, but the knight immediately steps forward to defend it. Let's see what happens to this game. Khatri is anticipating some quick pawn and knight exchange there, but no, there wasn't any. Khatri sacrifices bishop for some sort of tactic there, perhaps. Khatri was thinking of some tactic, but I think Khatri miscalculated that. Oh, Khatri had some wrong anticipations there, and Khatri obviously missed that, we must say. It's the part of the game. Miscalculations in chess are pretty normal, and we must consider it. Okay, fine. We must move ahead in game. Okay, Khatri had some 3 or 4 long moved calculation in his back of the head, but Khatri obviously misses with white pieces. So let's move ahead, Khatri. Let's continue the game, and let's not be hopeless here, okay? Khatri, what is Khatri trying to say? I don't know. The bishop lost is lost. I don't know how he would recover it. Maybe 1 pawn compensation is not pretty good, not what he wanted. Attack the queen, attack the bishop. Now taken, and there's the fork, my ladies and gentlemen. Amazing fork spotted by Mr. Khatri, and immediately he comes to the advantageous point. He is leading with 3 points on heuristic evaluation chart. Rook of Mr. Khatri was attacked, but never mind. Khatri can retreat his knight There can be some discovery attacks if the king tries to take the knight. Yes, it does. Yet again, another fork. The pawn will be taken, and it is an equal position for both of the players. However, the bishop, the dark square bishop of Mr. Black hasn't moved a single move yet. So obviously, Khatri has better advantage in this game. Khatri has passed a pawn on b5, which can be a real threat to Mr. Black. Okay, Black doesn't seem interested to immediately take that piece. Khatri is perhaps anticipating to make his pawn glorious into a queen. Yes, Mr. Black wasn't so interested in taking that pawn. I think Khatri will march ahead with his pawn on b5. Yes, he does take the pawn and march ahead, glory towards the way of glory. Okay, that was a discovered attack, but Khatri is invading into the position of Mr. White. Sorry, Mr. Black. Khatri can leave the rook as it is for a knight to take because again the okay, there's the check. Perhaps not an ideal one. The bishop taken by Mr. Khatri. Khatri has been emerging strong in the face of adversity in this game, he was losing the game initially, but later he redeemed his position. I think the other rooks also should be taken into the play. Yes, he must capitalize with every of his pieces. That more 5 points of pressure would definitely be helpful for Mr. Khatri. The king is now hesitating to take the pawn. The pawn is real threat to Mr. Black. Right on a7, ready to make a beautiful queen right there. And the other rook is threatening to take the pawn. Khatri can take the pawn on g7, however, he doesn't take it. The queen, on the other hand, takes the pawn on a8, which had been a queen. Perhaps Khatri can take the bishop as well because the rooks remain undefended. Oh no, sorry, that was miscalculation from my side. There would be some series of check here, I believe. Yes, that's a series of check and check and check and check. Yes, it is. Yet with no. No checks for now, but Khatri must find the winning moves here. I don't know if that's an ideal move. The bishop has been sacrificed by Mr. Black. I don't know if that was a misclick by his side, but Khatri didn't hesitate to capitalize on that, but the knight can take the bishop. Oh no, Mr. Black missed it. The rook on c8 has been attacked by white bishop, followed by a counter check by Mr. Black, but that doesn't affect much. Okay, we can see some series of check on b5 there. Maybe Mr. Khatri isn't considering that. Yes, he is considering that indeed. Okay, the rook has been placed on b2, attacking the pawn on e2. The pawn moves to f4, attacking with a check, but that doesn't affect much the pawn structure of Mr. Black on d6, and e5 has been a real problem to Mr. Khatri so far, but the knight has been given away by Mr. Black. I don't know why he is slipping away like that, but it is a mating idea, and after this move, I think it is a mate. Yes, it is made by Mr. Khatri, marching ahead towards 1500 elo. I don't think rematching would be an ideal situation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should wrap up this for today. We will be back again with another stream, another hustle, with another chess matches going right away, more interesting, more fun. That was for today. Thank you for signing in. Maybe we'll
tactics won you that game.
Maybe we'll continue, or maybe we'll end with a game review. I believe. Let's have a look to the game review. Please mute the reviewer, the tutor. Thank you, Mr. Khatri. The review is rolling right away. 65% was accuracy for Mr. Khatri, which isn't pretty ideal. In this position, Mr. Khatri was losing. That's so surprising, but oh my god, Mr. Khatri had 6 blunder. I don't know how he managed to win this game. Maybe Mr. Black played worst and Mr. Khatri played worse. That's the situation of this game. The opening on the one hand was pretty solid from both of the players, but in the mid game, both of the players choked, I must say. That was blunder from Mr. Khatri. That was obviously miscalculated. We discussed a lot about that. The queen placement wasn't good for Mr. Black. The series of blunder continues here. Yes, it is. Oh my god. The discovery attack didn't have any capitalizing factor in that, so I must say that was really blunder. Yeah, the series of blunder mistakes continues. The isolated pawn, which can be a weakness. Khatri must have. Oh my god, that was completely losing for Mr. Khatri. Oh, Mr. Black missed that. Even Khatri missed that. We missed that. Everyone missed that. That was a crazy spot to make. 2-3 chances of mating for Mr. Black, but obviously in a blitz game, 5 minutes, what can a person can do? Immediately the bar goes up for Mr. Khatri. Khatri is now winning. I say rook should be moved, and that was the best move. So I am boasting a little bit about myself in this position. However, let's see how the game moves. And from here, Khatri just had to find his winning moves. Again, in the end also, Khatri is making blunder. I don't know what sort of idea does Khatri have. Oh, that was a checkmate idea. Oh my god. Oh, that's a great move there. But Khatri had some crazy blunders in this game. The end game was also full with blunder. Maybe that was due to lack of experience and also distraction. So that was it for today, guys. Thank you for signing out. Thank you. Peace out. Be happy.